Hello YouTube, welcome back to Model Railroad Gaming, and today is a pretty big day because this is going to be my first impressions of the newly released Clinchfield Railroad DLC for Train Sim World 2. So for those of you who don't know, the Clinchfield Railroad was a primarily coal hauling line in the Appalachian Mountains in the eastern United States. This route is set in the late 70s, early 80s, and includes the Clinchfield F7, as well as the Clinchfield SD40, as well as coal hoppers, a caboose, and boxcar and reefer. And this is the first time we've gotten a caboose in Train Sim World, so I'm very happy about that. I'm a huge, 70s first, second generation diesel fan. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Welcome to Engineer Training. Here you'll be taken through the operation of a classic electromotive division F7 diesel electric locomotive. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical locomotive controls and freight operations. When you're ready, climb aboard to get started. Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time.
Good bit of lag there. Let's see, where are we? This looks like, I think this is Elkhorn City? Yeah.
The fuel pump will need to be closed to allow fuel to reach the locomotive.
Yeah, I think this is Elkhorn City. But anyways, we're setting up this locomotive here, so let's get this going. Find it. There we go.
The engine is currently shut down and will need to be started before progressing. Press and hold the engine start button to activate it.
Okay, engine start.
The isolation valve is currently in the start position. Use the indicated control to set the isolation valve to the run position.
Okay. Run.
The rotair valve allows the operator to set the brake mode to match the required operation of the locomotive. For the lead locomotive of a long train, use the freight setting. For the lead locomotive of a shorter train, use the passenger setting. If the locomotive is a trailing locomotive, use the appropriate freight or passenger lap setting. If running as a light locomotive, the passenger setting is recommended for rapid brake response.
Set the rotair valve to freight.
The reverser determines the direction of travel.
And set the reverser to forward. Nice.
The transition lever is used to control the flow of the electrical current to the traction motors, which is set based on the movement the locomotive is currently performing. As we are performing switching duties around a yard, we will need to set the control to series parallel shunt. Do this now by using the indicated lever.
Series parallel shunt. There we go.
The unit selector is used by the engineer to specify how many locomotives are in the current lash-up. Use the indicated lever to set the number of locomotives in this formation.
So we got 2 units here, so we'll set this to 2.
The generator field switch will need to be set. Use the indicated switch to activate the generator field now.
Alright, generator field. There we go. And engine run. Alright, now we got the independent brake, set that to release. Bail off and release.
For this introduction, we will be performing switching duties and handling the loading of hoppers. You are now ready for service. Using the throttle, apply a small amount of power to get moving.
Alright.
Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain speed. Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of brake by moving the handle into the braking range.
Gotta love that Nathan M5. There was a crossing right there, so that's why I did that. Yeah, we're moving pretty slow right now, because I think we're on grade. So, heading down to the Potter Coal Tipple. So that's kind of on this lower section of Elkhorn City here.
This yard features both manual and automatic switches. The manual switches will need to be set on foot before departing. Climb down now and make sure the switches are set to the correct position.
Okay, so set centered. Cab door, climb down. Type of switch here.
The hoppers are in front of us. You will need to approach them slowly to safely couple and avoid a potential derailment.
Okay. So now we're back on the engine. Head down and couple these. Come into these nice and slow. About 3 miles an hour is usually pretty good. There we go.
With the hoppers successfully coupled, your next task is to bring the cut of cars over to the tipple to begin the loading process. When loading hoppers, you need to keep to a slow and controlled speed to allow the loader to correctly and safely load the hoppers. Apply a small amount of power to start moving and then adjust the throttle back to the idle position once you're travelling at no more than 3 miles per hour.
Okay then, so it looks like we're going to be going ahead to that particular loader. So let's just check our switches here. So good there. Okay, so pull ahead now. Side where we pick these hoppers up from.
You will need to contact the dispatcher before you can leave the yard. Contact the dispatcher and ensure you're given clearance before proceeding.
Okay, yeah, we gotta bring our speed. Okay. Yep. We are on a steep downhill. After that, we will stop. Probably won't go. Yeah, these brakes are going to take a little bit of getting used to because I'm so used to the Train Sim 1 version of the F7 that gets much quicker brakes. They're not prototypical, but they are easier. So I do have to make sure that I'm really on top of brakes and whatnot. So that is something I will have to get used to. Alright, that's spotted pretty well. So now, got to get out again. Well, let's see here. It's having us throw. So we're coupling up to this particular string of hoppers. So it appears that switch has actually been set automatically for us. So yeah, that is okay. So we are good to go here. Oh boy, yeah, should have applied some throttle first before releasing the brakes. Yeah, we are on a pretty good grade right now, just here at Elkhorn City. So if you couldn't tell already, the Clinchfield is a very mountainous route. So there's going to be a good amount of grades and tunnels and bridges and tight curves and stuff like that, because this is a mountain railroad by and large. We're out here in the Appalachians here at Elkhorn City, Kentucky. So as you can see, we're at notch 4, so we're at half power already, just getting our train up to our yard speed here. Okay, so, alright, so I'm learning how this all works here. So clearly, right after you go into, that, okay, I think I messed this up here. So let's try to recover from this. Okay, I think we got it. Okay, so it's that service setting is just that, the service setting. So
with the hoppers now coupled, you can uncouple the locomotive from the train. Use the cut bar on the rear hopper to uncouple the hoppers from this locomotive.
Alright, just gotta make sure I'm held through the grade. Center our reverser. And uncouple. So here's the drawbar.
Good job. That is all of the tasks that have been assigned to you for now. Bring the locomotive back to the yard for use later in the day.
Okay, now we just gotta head back to the engine siding, and that'll be it for this tutorial.
Good work. That concludes all of the basics of operating this locomotive.
And there we go. That's the F7 tutorial, so let's move on and check out the SD40.
Welcome to Engineer Training. Here you'll be taken through the operation of an Electromotive Division SD40 diesel electric locomotive. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical locomotive controls and refueling of the locomotive. When you're ready, climb aboard to get started. Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time. The main circuit breaker is used to allow power to the locomotive. Use the indicated control to set it to the closed position. The engine will first need to be primed to start the locomotive. Use the indicated switch and hold it in the prime position for 10 seconds. Now that the engine has been primed, it's time to start it up. Using the same switch as before, move it into the start position and hold it there for 5 seconds to start the engine. With the engine now running, set the isolation switch to the run position. Nice work! The locomotive is now ready for operation. This locomotive has 3 brake systems. The automatic brake controls the brakes on the locomotive and all the cars in the consist. The independent brake is used to control only the locomotive's brakes and is primarily used when running light. The dynamic brake is used to help control the train's speed when operating on mainline and branch line grades. As we are running light loco, we will use the independent brake to control our speed. Now move the automatic brake lever into the release position. The cut-off valve will need to be set to the required position. Do this now by moving the cut-off valve and setting it to freight. The MU2A valve must also be set up to the required position. Move the indicated switch and set it to lead or dead. Activate the auxiliary systems as indicated. The reverser is used to determine the direction of travel. The selector lever allows you to move between power and dynamic braking modes. The B setting allows the throttle handle to control the dynamic brake, and the 1 setting allows it to apply power. Set the selector lever to 1 now. For this introduction, we will be moving this locomotive over to the fuel racks to refuel. This yard features manual switches which will need to be set on foot before departing. Climb down now and make sure the switches are set to the correct positions.
So, if you're curious, the yard we're in right now is Dant, Virginia. So that's how it's pronounced, even though it's spelled Dante, it is pronounced Dant. So, make of that what you will. I personally find it kind of funny. And it'll be a little bit confusing when I eventually return to school to a Catholic university, of all places.
This locomotive is now ready for service. Use the throttle and apply a small amount of power to get moving.
Okay. But yeah, I go to a Catholic university, so one of the great texts that I've read is Dante's A Divine Comedy. So Dante's Inferno, Purgatorio, and then Paradiso. Though I've only read Purgatorio, unfortunately. So it's kind of funny, and hopefully I won't be too confused by Damp Virginia and Dante to, be able to function at school. Okay, but anyways, it's time for us to get moving. Oh, I thought they said they had an RS3L, but oh well. Alright, that's all of our switches there. Back to the engine. Okay, and first to the fuel racks. Oh, so we still have that K5 K5 horn from the sand patch grade. So I think I remember them saying in a previous stream that this locomotive has an Leslie RS3L, which is the more prototypical horn for this Clinchfield SD40. So I guess maybe they just weren't able to add it for the initial release. So hopefully we'll get an update or something like that somewhere down the line. But at least the F7 has the M5, so I can be happy about that. Okay, so let's try to stop with the fuel cap by the fuel pump. That should be good.
With the locomotive now positioned next to the fuel rack, you will need to prepare the locomotive for refueling. To begin, open the fuel cap to allow access to the locomotive's fuel tank. Now take hold of the fuel hose and then insert it into the fuel tank.
There we go.
With the hose now inserted into the tank, you can begin refueling. Use the indicated control to allow fuel to flow into the tank.
See any sort of indication here? Oh, look at that. Huh. That's nice. That's a neat little detail there.
Good work. That concludes all of the basics of operating and refueling this locomotive.
Alright, so that's the SD40. So I think the next logical step here is to do a scenario. So I'll see you all there. Hello, engineer. After an operational fault with the middle F7B earlier, okay, didn't get that. You'll need to run with limited power at your disposal to successfully handle the grades on Nora Spur. Run down the line and pick up coal, then return to Allen storage. Well, I haven't seen that before. Wait for train to pass. So, let's see here. Looks like we got a Clinchfield manifest coming our way. So, in the meantime, let's get this engine set up for operation. find the headlight switch here. There we go, we got it. Alright, so 6.1 miles. We're going to be heading up to a place called Blue Diamond. So we're going to be up in the Nora Spur, so looking at the map, we're down here in Allen. So we're going to be heading up this whole thing right here. Oh yeah, Blue Diamonds. This is all the way at the end of the Nora Spur, so we'll check that out. So here we are at the rear of the train where we got the caboose, so we finally get a good look at this. As we head on up the Nora Spur. Check that out. This is the Clinchfield Railroad's Santa Fe style caboose. Looks pretty good. So as you can see, we got a pretty good sized train of empties. And we are heading up towards the Blue Diamond Mine on the Nora Spur. Crossing there. It's always fun to blow the horn. So as you can see by the HUD, we're now on a 2% grade. So these F7s are really getting the work out on this train load of empties here. Kilgore Creek has been requested to assist you. Okay, what's next? Right, set and centered. We're going to do a little bit of switching work now. So we shall now uncouple our train. The old sand, and that should get us going. There we go. Oh, not quite yet. Now rolling back a bit more. Probably to about where the caboose is. Right there at the end of the little yard here, there's that F7 that was down at Kilgore Creek, and apparently that is going to think it's going to be kind of our switching edger or something like that. One of those things. Alright, bring this in. Nice, easy stop. Wait. Alright, there we go. There we go. And now, to the main unit. Set and centered. And we'll uncouple our empties. Right, so I think we will now be loading these hoppers. Respond. A bit hot. There we go. Okay, so what now? Right, so we will be. So now we will shove this cut down to the end of the siding. Guess enough so that we can clear the siding and then grab our caboose and stick it on the other end. Now, really running the amps pretty high right now. So just gotta bring up enough to clear. Okay, that'll be right there. Clip that. We did clip it. I guess train simulator physics kind of took over and we didn't totally derail, so that's good. We can still continue. So that concludes our switching. So now, just a matter of running on down to Allen Storage, where presumably we'll tie up. Okay, and as of right now, we are coming off the Nora branch and rejoining the Clinchfield main line for the last quick jaunt back to Allen Siding and Allen Storage. So we just pulled back into Allen Siding. We've got about half a mile to go to our final stop point. Alright, so as we come to a stop here at Allen Storage, just I'll give you my opinions on the newly released Train Sim World 2 Clinchfield route so far. I'd say for the most part I've enjoyed it. The only gripe I have is I wish that SD40 actually had the proper RS3L horn, but hopefully that'll come later. I think I remember them saying that they have one. I guess they just weren't able to install it. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Model Railroad Gaming signing off.